blockade has got to go. Hey, hey. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Abajo el bloqueo. 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 Cuba sí. Cuba sí bloqueo no. 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 Jesus, bloqueo no. Bloqueo no. Cuba sí bloqueo no. Cuba sí bloqueo no. This area here. Alright, get together over here. Those are over here. So we're trying to form a circle around the speaker. To the left. One more now, y'all. Right foot, left foot. Right. Left foot. I'm closing this way, y'all. Hands on your sides. Hands on your sides. Okay. Everyone on this side, if you would scoot over that way.
Circle up, circle up.
Circle that way. I won't use right and left because it's opposite of me. So y'all gonna go that way. If you're in the back, you stay right here. If you're in the back, come forward. As the people are spreading out, people in the back, come forward.
Circle up, circle up.
This is an oval, but it will do. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. President Joe Biden, take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list.
Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list.
Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list.
Turn it up.
Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list.
Turn it up.
Take Cuba off the list.
Turn it up.
Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list. Take Cuba off the list. All right.
Right on.
Woo! Look at all these people out here in support of the Cuban people. I know that's right. I know that's right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our rally. We're at our active protest right now. And I just want to give a quick shout out to our Atlanta comrades struggling against Cop City, against terrorism right now. Shout out to Atlanta fighting against our terrorists, which are the police. All right, so the first person that I would like to call up to speak is Justine Medina with the Amazon Labor Union and CPUSA. Let's welcome her up, everybody.
Hi, comrades. Could you, should I hold that or should you? Sorry, I'm just getting my notes up. Hello, friends. Hello, comrades. Good to see you. Good to be here. My name is Justine Medina. I'm a warehouse worker at Amazon and an organizer with the Amazon Labor Union. Thank you. One struggle, comrades. I am a leader of the New York State Communist Party. Thank you. And perhaps most importantly for this conversation, I am a Cuban American. I am here today. Thank you. I am here today because Senator Menendez does not speak for me. I was raised by Cubans in Florida. I have been to Cuba multiple times. I have Cuban and Cuban American family and friends across the political spectrum, liberal, conservative, socialist. I know Cubans on the island and in Miami who want the government to change, and Cubans who support and fight to defend their government. I know Cuban Americans who voted for Biden and ones who voted for Trump. And not a single one of us supports the embargo, the blockade, or any of the horrific unilateral measures against Cuba. Senator Menendez, Joe Biden, and any other politicians who aggress against Cuba do not speak for me on this. They do not speak for my family. They do not speak for the vast majority of Cuban Americans, and they certainly do not speak for the millions of Cubans in Cuba whose sovereignty is violated every day by the United States government. It is ironic that the U.S. politicians talk of Cuba sponsoring terrorism, when the only terrorism that happens on Cuban soil is the torture and international war crimes perpetrated every day by the United States. The crime against humanity that is Guantanamo Bay prison. And in thinking about crimes against humanity, as a member of the LGBTQ community, I would be remiss if I did not mention that it is Pride Month. Yes, give it up. Members of the queer community are still fighting for safety around the world, and certainly right here in the US. But last year, Cubans passed the most progressive laws on family, gender, and sexuality to ever exist in history. Meanwhile, in the United States, our politicians are passing laws to allow for literal pogroms by white supremacist groups against transgender children. So I ask you, which country is the one sponsoring terrorism? End the hypocrisy, end the embargo, remove Cuba from the state sponsor of terrorism list. All power to the working Cuba, all power to the working Cuban people, all power to the working people of the US, all power to the international working class. Venceremos. Who's next?
It's so awesome, and what a difference from the last time we came to the White House. We are so much stronger and so much more united. I want to welcome next somebody who for the past 3 years has been a hero to the whole movement to end the blockade. It's a united movement with different opinions, but the one thing that we are united on is ending this torture of the Cuban people. I want to introduce Carlos Lazo, Puentes de Amor.
Thank you. My name is Carlos Lazo. I'm the leader of Puentes de Amor. Dear brothers and sisters, we are here today in front of the White House to denounce a crime. This crime has been committed for more than 60 years. This genocide has been inflicted by the United States government against the people of Cuba. Right now, because this genocide, people in Cuba are suffering. Families lack food and medications. Right now, children are denied and dying in Cuba because of the U.S. blockade. To make things worse, almost 3 years ago, the Trump administration added Cuba in the list of countries who support terrorism. The addition of Cuba to this list is one of the most evil acts that the United States have done in years. Wait a second. The purpose to asphyxiate the Cuban families, because the addition of Cuba to this list, Cuba cannot access to international markets. Because the addition of Cuba to this list, the island cannot do financial transactions with other countries. Because the addition of Cuba to this list, Cuban families have been terrorized and denied medications and food. Because the blockade and the addition of Cuba to the list of countries that support terrorism, they are desperate. And hundreds of thousands of Cubans have left Cuba. President Biden, listen, stop the genocide. President Biden, we represent millions of Americans, Cuban Americans, people from different parts of the United States and the world. We are representing people from different creeds and ideologies who are united in the love to family and humanity. President Biden, we are here in front of your house to ask you to stop burning down the houses of the Cuban families.
Right on.
President Biden, take Cuba off the list of terrorist countries and leave the blockade. Brothers and sisters, sometimes we could have the perception that our struggle doesn't bring the results that we want. 60 years has passed and still the United States is immersed in this obsession of inflicting harm to the Cuban families. But our voices louder and louder demanding the end of this genocide. Now our voices extend from Washington, New York, to Seattle, to Miami, to LA. Yes, yes, and they keep growing and growing in the United States and in the world. Yes, we know that we will lift these sanctions. We know that we will take Cuba off the terrorist list. And we know all this because we are on the side of justice and love. We know this injustice is going to end because if God exists, God is justice and love. And if God exists, God is with us. President Joe Biden, listen to America, listen to the world. Take off Cuba from the terrorist list. Let leave Cuba. Let lead the Cuban families. Leave the blockade. President Biden, tear down those walls of hate and build bridges of love. Cuba sí! 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 Thank you very much. God bless all.
The Alianza Martiana is a historic Cuban-American organization here in the United States, and we're very proud to greet Elena Freire, who I believe is the president now, or
The Alianza Martiana.
Alianza Martiana.
I'm also a proud member of the Miami Caravan against the blockade. It is my distinct pleasure to be here today, and I thank the organizers of this event for doing this. We needed to take our voices to Washington, and the only thing that I need to remind President Biden of is President Joseph Robinette Biden. There were Cuban Americans who went out for you during the last election. There were Cuban Americans that believed what you said during a town hall meeting in Miami. You said you would roll back all the measures that Trump had enacted and roll back the other measures that hurt the Cuban people. You have not done so. You have not done what you promised to do. And we are here today to remind you the Cuban people are suffering, and you are part of that suffering. You're complicit in that suffering. My people need for you to end this. It is time to end this. The whole world wants this ended. Look at the United Nations. Look at most people in the United States are against this blockade. We are here today to represent them. And I'm proud to say that we have 11 million Cuban people marching right behind us. Down with the blockade! Long live Cuba! Long live Cuba! Take Cuba off the terrorist list! Cuba exports medicines, doctors, and love. The terrorism comes from the United States and not from Cuba. That's right!
Hello, everyone. I'd now like to welcome up the Black Workers Chorus to give us a little sensational something something.
Muy buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Cuba si bloqueo no nos moverán. Cuba si bloqueo no nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán. End the blockade. End the blockade. We shall not be moved. End the blockade. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, we shall not be moved. The people are united. We shall not be moved. The people are united. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, we shall not be moved. El pueblo está unido. El pueblo está unido. No nos moverán. El pueblo está unido. No nos moverán como un árbol firme junto al río. No nos moverán. United in the struggle. United in the struggle. We shall not be moved. United in the struggle, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water. Unidos en la lucha, no nos moverán. Unidos en la lucha, no nos moverán como un árbol. Firme junto al río, no nos moverán. Cuba sin bloqueo no, no nos moverán. Cuba sin bloqueo no, no nos moverán como un árbol. Firme junto al río, no nos moverán. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water, we shall not be moved. Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende, la quiere más. Let's see if they got it. Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende, la quiere más. Let's see if they got it. Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende, la quiere más. Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende, la quiere más.
La vía patria, vive la paz, el socialismo y la libertad.
Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende, la quiere más. Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende, la quiere más. Imperialismo, Playa Girón, el yanqui sabe lo que pasó. Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, quien la defiende la quiere más. Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende la quiere más.
Lindo es tu cielo, lindo es tu mar, Cuba es un canto de libertad.
Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende la quiere más. Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, que la defiende la quiere más. La venceremos, la venceremos. Quien la conoce la quiere más. Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, quien la defiende la quiere más. Qué linda es Cuba, Cuba, qué linda es Cuba, quien la defiende la quiere más. Un Fidel que vibra en la montaña, un rubí, 5 franjas y una estrella.
Cuba who have lived their entire lives under this genocidal blockade. And that's why I'm so excited to introduce Julian from Students Against Imperialism to talk about the role of youth in this struggle against the blockade.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. It's so wonderful being out here with all of you. It's so powerful standing here in front of the White House in what Che would call the belly of the beast, saying, Cuba sí? No! Cuba sí? No! So I'm Julian and I'm from George Washington University, Students Against Imperialism. I'll admit, we're a minority. Colin Powell and Juan Guaido are both alums of George Washington University, but we're still out here fighting against that ideological hegemony and supporting liberation movements however we can. And so I want to talk to y'all a little bit about the power of student movements. Julio Antonio Mejia was the founder of the Communist Party of Cuba, but before that, he was involved in student politics. He was inspired by the uprisings of students in Córdoba, Argentina, and the Latin Americanism of Valle de la Torre in Peru to found the Federación Estudiantil Universitaria, the Federation of University Students. They fought for the democratization of their university systems and to put their education at the service of the working masses of Cuba. They also worked to build up connections with student movements throughout Latin America. In fact, before being the commander-in-chief of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro was an international delegate of the FEU. In 1948, when the OAS, which as we all know is essentially the Ministry of Colonies of the American Empire, was being... Shame! Que fea es la wea! Fidel was meeting with progressive and anti-imperialist students from across Latin America, working to unite their demands and struggles. Some of those demands have been met, like returning the Panama Canal to its rightful sovereignty, while others are still outstanding, like the independence of Puerto Rico. So we have so much to learn from our Cuban brothers and sisters, not just in terms of building international solidarity, but also seeing what youth are capable of when a society experiences a revolutionary change. Just take a look at the Cuban literacy campaign. There, kids as young as 7 were volunteering across the country to help eradicate the plague of illiteracy, and they were able to do it in just 1 year. That's right. That is something that no capitalist country has ever done. And that is exactly why they are blockading Cuba. Because they want to strangle the revolution. And because they want to keep us and our movements from learning from them. So let's say it, folks. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. This blockade has got to go. Hey, hey. Thank you, everyone, and hasta la victoria siempre.
Thank you, Julian. Next, I want to invite up Abdullah from the Palestinian Youth Movement. We cannot understand the U.S. blockade of Cuba without understanding the Israeli blockade of Gaza. We can't understand U.S. imperialism against Cuba without understanding it as a global system that is oppressing Palestinians, Filipinos, people in Haiti, people all over the world. So, Abdullah, if you're ready to speak, come on up.
Y'all ready to end the blockade? Yeah! Going to get Cuba off the list? Yeah! All right, I'm honored to be standing here today representing the Palestinian Youth Movement. The PYM is a transnational grassroots independent movement of young Palestinians and Arabs dedicated to the liberation of our homeland from Zionism and imperialism. We are honored to stand as our predecessors stood in solidarity with Cuba against the belligerent U.S. empire, which strives every day to strangle the Cuban masses in a fruitless attempt to break their revolutionary spirit. Cuba, like Palestine, is not a mere victim of circumstance in a world in which imperialists enact policy in good faith for the betterment of the world. No, the blockade is a protracted attempt to put an end to the Cuban revolutionary process by denying the people a basic standard of living. For over 60 years, this has been the explicit policy of every single U.S. president, Republican and Democrat, and Biden is no different. That's right. This administration's cowardly refusal to reverse Trump's decision to include Cuba in the list of state sponsors of terror should be considered as nothing less than an endorsement of Trump's policy, right, showing us once again that both parties coalesce to advance the interests of empire. Ultimately, this is about one thing: punishing Cuba for having the gall to stand up for itself and to assert its sovereignty. Something that we as Palestinians are entirely too familiar with. In Palestine, we have a word that encapsulates the defining characteristic of our people in the face of Zionist colonization and Western imperialism. That word in Arabic is sumud, which means steadfastness or perseverance. Amidst 75 years of ongoing Nakba, our people have persevered in the struggle for liberation. The Cuban people, amidst over 60 years of suffocating blockade, are a shining example of sumud, of steadfastness in the pursuit of their revolutionary project. The Cuban masses don't require our sympathy or charity. Instead, they are deserving of our commitment to struggle alongside them as allies against capitalism and against imperialism. While always remembering that we have a special responsibility to fight the empire from within the belly of the beast. When we commit ourselves to serve the Palestinian Revolution, we are also committing to serve the Cuban Revolution and the global revolution. Viva Cuba! Ashat Palestine, and long live international solidarity.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Thank you so much to the Palestinian youth movement for your support today. Next, I want to bring up another international solidarity speaker, Hyo-won from Nodoto. As many of y'all know, the DPRK is one of the other countries represented on this awful state sponsors of terrorism list, when we know very well the U.S. is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, against Korea, against Cuba. So without further ado, thank you for being here. The mic is yours.
Thank you for having me. Beloved comrades and colleagues, I stand here before you today to condemn the U.S.'s list of state sponsors of terrorism in support of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The DPRK has been on the state sponsors of terrorism list since 1988. Like Cuba, the DPRK was taken off this list before, and again, like Cuba, the DPRK was put back on the list by the Trump administration, which imposed the harshest sanctions against the DPRK ever seen. The people of Cuba and the DPRK have suffered as the United States blocks aid and critically needed medical supplies. These are genocidal sanctions. In 2018, nearly 4,000 people died because U.S. sanctions delayed their care from UN aid programs. Most of these deaths were children under 5 years old. From Cuba to North Korea, U.S. sanctions kill. That's right. What moral authority does the U.S. have to label these nations as state sponsors of terrorism and to condemn millions of people to scarcity? What credibility does the U.S. have in accusing other nations of acts of terrorism when it lies so flagrantly about its own crimes? Shame! Shame! What credibility does the U.S. have? During the Korean War, more than half of the 3 million casualties were civilians. Most of them were killed by U.S. bombs. The DPRK remains one of our beloved Cuba's staunchest allies. Raul Castro once said, if someone is interested in what the Cubans' opinion is on certain questions, he should ask the Koreans. Our views are completely identical in everything. Earlier this year, I had the privilege to participate in a brigade to Cuba with the International People's Assembly. When I got there, I was overwhelmed by the beauty of the island, its moral consciousness, the generosity and resilience of its people. I think about its robust biomedical facilities and the treatments they develop for lung cancer, diabetic ulcers, and COVID-19. I think about the free medical education that it provides to students from around the world on the sole condition that these students return to their countries to serve their people. And so, as Koreans who recognize the connection between the struggles of oppressed people around the world, when we know that those stand for the DPRK, we start to stand with Cuba. And like our people in the North, we refuse to betray our responsibility to the Cuban people. Apologies for the feedback. I'm so happy to be with you all today because we have a responsibility to educate ourselves and each other, to organize together and fight injustices like the state sponsors of terrorism list. Long live friendships without borders! Long live the solidarity between oppressed peoples around the world!